It is 6 p.m. on Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. I will call this meeting of the Miami Township, Montgomery County Board of Trustees to order. If everybody could please stand and face the virtual flag and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Morris.
Here.
Mr. Posey.
Here.
Mr. Culp.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone. We start our meetings with the reading of casualties. Pleased to inform that we have no military casualties to read. Chief Stegelmeyer, you have first responder casualties.
Evening Board. The following is the first responder casualty list for the period of December the 27th, 2020 to January 5th, 2021. Senior Airman Firefighter Logan Young, 167th Airlift Wing of the West Virginia Air National Guard Fire Department. End of watch December 27th, 2020. Officer Randall Percy Smith, Birmingham Police Department, Alabama. End of watch December 28th, 2020. Corrections Officer Joe Landon, Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Corrections Division, Texas. End of watch December 28th, 2020. Sergeant Gordon William Best, North Myrtle Beach Department of Public Safety, South Carolina. End of watch January 1st, 2021. Sergeant Daniel Mobley, DeKalb County Police Department, Georgia. End of watch January 2nd, 2021. And finally, Sergeant Bruce Watson, Harris County Sheriff's Office, Texas. End of watch January 2nd, 2021.
Thank you. Prior to our moment of silence, I'd also like to announce and acknowledge the passing of Joyce Young. Joyce Young was a long-term trustee in Washington Township, a neighboring township here in Montgomery County. Many years of service, both as a trustee on many nonprofit boards, and was a true servant of our community. She passed away on December 26th at the age of 86. So if we could recognize Ms. Young and our first responders with a moment of silence. Thank you. I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second? Barry is muted, but I saw him say second. Any discussion?
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Following new business, we will get into the public comment portion of the meeting. So if you're interested in making a public comment, now would be a good time to use your Zoom controls to raise your hand. You'll be recognized at the conclusion of discussion of new business. We have two items for Mr. Stegelmeyer, Resolution 1 and 2.
Board. First of all, the first resolution 001-2021 has to deal with the new collective bargaining agreement between the Miami Township Police Officers Union and with the Miami Township Board of Trustees. And you have a copy of the contract that has been supplied to you. Some of the quick bullet points and major bullet points of this contract is it entails a 3% pay raise over the next 3 years for the officers, with the average in this area ranging somewhere between 2.5 and 3.5% depending on locality. Across the state. It also includes a one-time lump sum of $1,700 pay for back pay during the life of this contract. As you know, the contract expired earlier this year. The other parts, the major parts of the contract would be the changing of buyout upon retirement for sick leave at a 1-to-1 rate of 1,000 hours, which is a slight increase of 250 hours from what the old contract was. My reasoning behind that would be with internal comparison to the sergeant's contract that we presently have. They currently have a 1,250 hour conversion of 1-to-1. So that's just coming to be a little bit more of in line with what is going on with the sergeant contract as well. From a management standpoint, we got some cleanups and some old comparables and some old management rights we wanted to try to retain. Specifically, performance evaluations are longer in the grievance process, which helps streamline the process when we're doing performance evaluations. We've removed some just cause wording and putting people on paid leave for investigative reasons, internal investigative reasons. We've improved our overtime rotation. We used to have a 3-list process, which when we had overtime available, we had 3 different lists that we had to choose from for the old contract, which made it quite cumbersome to handle. We've streamlined that back down to 1. We've given we've gotten back the ability to for us to create new pilot positions, a 6-month window to try new programs that we'd like to institute here at the police department, whereas before anything over 60 days was considered a permanent vacated position. And we also eliminated the old style where we had payroll equalization. We did away with all that old verbiage in the contract. Those are some of the things that we got back. One of the other things that I tried to do is we eliminated some of the several grandfather benefit restrictions for longevity and educational incentive. My reasoning behind that is, one, they're also in the sergeant contract. So again, internal comparables, we try to make those as equal as possible. For me to retain quality employees and to recruit new quality employees, I feel it's very important that we have educated officers. And if you look around some of the surrounding agencies, educational incentives and longevity are all part of their contracts. So I wanted us to become a destination and not a stepping stone, so to speak. And this is going to help solidify that position. And I'm free to answer any questions.
Any questions for Chief? Chief, I have one question. Just how would you, we have a new union, the Miami Township Police Officers Union, replacing the Fraternal Order of Police at the decision and choice of our officers. How would you rate our relationship between management and the union and the officers?
This is our first experience and their first experience working with a private counsel. This was a very smooth and transparent operation. I couldn't be more pleased with the open dialogue and open communication through the entire process. I do not know if the council is aware or not, but this whole process took us late into the year. The contract expired in March, and we really didn't start negotiations until November, just due to the process involved in changing from one union organization into another representation, going through the CERB process. It should be a testament that from early November until now, we got the contract and worked through the solution. So it was a very good, very pleasant process, to say the least. Both sides were more than amicable, and it was a very good process for all.
So I just want to make it clear, and I'm glad to hear that you know, you read a lot in the newspaper about contentious relationships between officers and management and the chief or a sheriff or elected officials. And I think here in Miami Township, we have a wonderful relationship with the rank and file members, our officers that are out there putting their lives on the line every day, and those that manage and oversee and provide the strategy behind what we ask them to do. So I'm very excited about this and glad to hear that. Resolution 2, sir.
Resolution 2, back in December of last year, not too terribly long ago, we had another member of our rank and file, Officer Bob Sakel, retire after 27 years of service. For the collective bargaining agreement, Article 34, Section 1, they have the option to purchase a service weapon upon retirement. Officer Sakel did express interest to purchase a service weapon. He did retire in good standing. Resolution 002-2021 is going to give Officer Sakel the opportunity to purchase his weapon he's used during his duty here at the Township Police Department.
Any questions for Chief on issue 2? Resolution 2. All right, hearing none. Resolution 3, Mr. Mayberry.
Yes, good evening. We have had some turnover in our fleet in 2020, and there's a need to surplus a few items in our fleet and then auction those items off. So that is the reason for the resolution before you tonight.
Any questions for Mr. Mayberry on the auction of property no longer being used surplus? All right, seeing none, Mr. Snyder, you have resolutions 4 and 5.
Good evening, Board. Resolutions 4 and 5 are the result of some departures within our department recently. I've also created an opportunity to reevaluate some of the job descriptions and roles of the positions that we have within the department. So Resolution 4 is a proposal to adjust the pay scale and job responsibilities for the planner position. And then Resolution 5 is a proposal to create the planning technician and inspector position. That is one position. They will also be acting as a zoning inspector. We are doing this again without increasing our staffing levels. This will just begin to bring us back to our original staffing levels, and we are doing this within our current budget allocations. So as we discussed in the work session, there's a variety of reasons for these modifications to the job descriptions, but we do see these as a way to increase our efficiency and productivity within the department. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to go over those, but otherwise you have all of the information in your packets.
All right, seeing no questions, we will move into the public comment period. Is there anybody wishing to come forward and make any public comments at this time?
I do not see anyone raising their hand.
All right, with that, we will close the public comment period. We will move into consideration of votes of resolutions and motions. I will begin with making a motion to approve Resolution 001-2021, a resolution to approve a 3-year collective bargaining agreement with the Miami Township Police Officers Union. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morris,
Aye.
Mr. Posey,
Aye.
Mr. Culp,
Aye.
I will make a motion to approve Resolution 002-2021, a resolution to sell property to a retiring employee. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morris,
Aye.
Mr. Posey,
Aye.
Mr. Culp,
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 003-2021, a resolution to declare certain township articles as surplus property and authorize the sale or disposal of said property. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morris,
Aye.
Mr. Posey,
Aye.
Mr. Culp,
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 004-2021, a resolution to adjust the pay scale for the planner position. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morris,
Aye.
Mr. Posey,
Aye.
Mr. Culp,
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 005-2021, a resolution to create a planning technician inspector position. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morris,
Aye.
Mr. Posey,
Aye.
Mr. Culp,
Aye.
We will now move into the public hearing portion of the agenda. I will make a motion to approve, to open public hearing for zoning case number 183-86. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morris,
Aye.
Mr. Posey,
Aye.
Mr. Culp,
Aye.
Zoning case number 183-86 is now open. The following will be the order in which the hearing will proceed. Staff will give a report. The applicant will be given an opportunity to give a presentation. All proponents will speak. Anyone opposed will be given a chance to speak. A time limit of 3 minutes may be placed on each of the speakers. If you come forward to speak, please give your name and address for the record. The board will close the public hearing prior to taking any final action. Mr. Carlson, have the legal requirements for this meeting been met?
They have.
Do you have a recommendation from the Miami Township Zoning Commission, and could you please review your report at this time?
I do have a recommendation. Happy to give my report. I'll share my screen. Know if it's coming through.
We see it, sir.
Perfect. All right. That's the one zoning case before you tonight, board, is ZC 183-86. It is a request for a review of a plan development regulation amendment for the Lions Business Park plan development. The Lions Business Park plan development is located in the triangle, sort of triangle that is formed by Lions Road, Washington Church Road, and I-675. The development is zoned PD5. It is a planned mixed-use development. The boundaries of Lions Business Park are outlined on the aerial image on the screen here. The property itself is just over 36 acres. The original intent of the planned development was to be a light industrial and office park. The primary uses are office use, warehousing, light manufacturing, assembly, other general office and industrial activities. The cause of this request, the applicant, Earth Products Control Company, HPC, requested a plan development regulation amendment to allow outdoor storage and testing space for fire pits that they intend on the facility. Currently, outdoor storage of manufactured materials is not permitted in Lions Business Park, but in conjunction with the ownership of Lions Business Park, HPC is requesting a modification to the standards for the development to allow this type of accessory use. So a PDRA, Plan Development Regulation Amendment, is essentially a two-part application. The first being a modification to the development standards or to change a use. And then the second part for this particular case is to allow the board to review the specific request of the applicant for use as an outdoor storage. So it's essentially modifying the standards and reviewing the specific plan of the applicant. So first, we'll take a look at the key standards that are changing or being recommended or proposed to change. So the development standard updates, the key updates. The first two are directly in response to the request of the applicant. The first is to allow additional storage tanks for propane, oxygen, or other materials, so long as the location and safety features of the tanks are approved by the Miami Valley Fire District, and the tank is completely screened by a brick or block enclosure. The second is to allow outdoor testing for products that are manufactured within the facility, so long as the testing area is enclosed by a brick or block wall of similar material to the primary buildings. And a gate may be included to meet requirements of the fire district. So again, these two components are directly at the request of HPC, who would use this space to test their manufactured products in the environment they're designed to be used in. So in this case, again, they would require some propane to test the use of the fire pits as well as the materials themselves. Mention now that the Miami Valley Fire District, Fire Marshal Bob Pugh has already met with the applicant, and he believes that they're fully capable of meeting all safety and fire code requirements for this specific request, but generally we feel that any further review should be reviewed by the fire district as well. And to that point, an addition to the development standards was that any future accessory structures or uses be a modification process. And this is an administrative review. If the board would approve the modifications to the standards, that going forward, the review process be administrative. We've also done a couple of kind of housekeeping items, one of which is to update the standards to require compliance with current landscape codes and lighting codes. So this would be going forward, any modifications within the development would be required to fully meet our current codes. And we have also called out a number of previously approved landscape plans that need to be continued to be maintained. We'll get into that in further detail in just a moment. We've also updated the development standards to match the current format. That's just a typical change. So the specific request, again, for HPC, they are looking at a 65 by 35 foot storage area to test their fire pits. At the recommendation of the Zoning Commission, any outdoor storage area should be enclosed by a brick or block wall. This is for architectural continuity and aesthetics, but also safety, as this rear area is bordering a loading dock and the kind of access drive. Formal brick or block wall certainly provides a better barrier between the accessory use and the drive aisle. To the point of the landscaping, Lions Business Park was reviewed and approved over multiple years and multiple stages. So staff felt that it was important to assemble a number of these landscape plans. They are listed as Exhibit B in the development standards to clarify what was previously approved. There were a number of designated tree preservation areas that have been called out in previous applications and approvals, and those have been combined now into one document to ensure future compliance with these landscaping standards. So to that point, the Zoning Commission did recommend approval of the modification to the development standards and development plan. They had a couple of stipulations. The first was that an engineered site plan be provided prior to this hearing. That application, whether that site plan was provided here. And then they also had two stipulations that were included in the development standards, but they felt were important to call out as a stipulation. Again, referencing the brick or block wall that matches the appearance of the primary structure to surround and enclose the outdoor storage area, as well as they've placed a timeline on replacement of deceased or damaged trees within the development. Replacement of deceased or damaged trees is an existing requirement under Article 45A for all approved landscaping plans, but the Zoning Commission felt that it was important to put a timeline on getting some of these deceased trees within the development replaced as a part of this modification to the standards. So if the board has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer at this time. But otherwise, that is the general report.
Any questions for Mr. Carlson? All right, seeing none, is the applicant here or wishing to come forward?
I believe we do have somebody here. Let me give them the ability to speak. Go ahead, Sean.
Hi, Chris, and the rest of the board. Can you hear me?
We can, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
This is Sean Steinley, CEO of HPC Fire Inspired Hearth Products Controls. And, Alex did a great job presenting the case. The only thing I would add is, we're coming over Kettering. We're bringing, 50, and we continue to grow. So we're bringing 50 to 75 jobs to the area. And this area helps us develop new products and test our products in the outdoor environment. And this part's really important to our business. So we hope we can get the approval through and continue on. And we've been doing business since 1975, so we follow all the safety standards, and we haven't had any issues in our past. So, be sure that we'll continue to follow those procedures and make sure that our appliances are safe. And this helps us make those appliances safer for the use in public and commercial and residential applications. So, thank you for the opportunity to present.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir. Anyone wishing to come forward in favor of the plan to give a statement at this time? Any proponents of the plan wishing to come forward, please raise your hand.
I do not see anyone else raising their hand.
Anyone opposed to this plan wishing to give testimony to the board, please raise your hand.
We have none.
All right, having heard from the staff, the applicant, all proponents and opponents, I will make a motion to close the public hearing for zoning case number 183-86. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morse,
Aye.
Mr. Posey,
Aye.
Mr. Culp,
Aye.
Having closed the public hearing, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 006-2021, a resolution to adopt a planned development regulation amendment for Lyons Business Park under zoning case 183-86 for land zone PD5 planned mixed-use district. Therefore, be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees approves the planned development regulation amendment and modification of the final development plan for Building 1 under zoning case 183-86 and upholds the zoning commission recommendation. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? I would just like to welcome our newest business member to the community and wish them the best of luck in their continued success.
Mr. Morse,
Aye.
Mr. Posey,
Aye.
Mr. Culp,
Aye.
Are there any department heads wishing to give a presentation to the board? Elected officials, Mr. Newell,
I have none.
Mr. Cole,
I have none.
Mr. Posey.
Despite the fact there's a UD game going on, I would like to do a little bit of year-end review. I've had the privilege to be appointed to serve as trustee nearly 12 months ago. Since that time, I've attended 24 stating meetings of this board, signed over 100 resolutions, attended more than 10 board meetings of the fire district, and gotten to know many of the competent, diligent, and flexible public servants. Getting to know many of the most diligent, competent, and flexible public servants that I have ever had the honor to know. This was a challenging year to enter public service, 2020 was. I can't imagine how challenging of a year it was to be an employee in public service. Across the board, my experience was that each of the township employees rose to the challenges presented, working from home, adjusting budgets, adopting and adapting to the changing work requirements as the pandemic raged through our community, as both public and political protests rose. At each difficulty, your trustees and the township employees took thoughtful and consistent action to continue to positively represent the community. It has been an honor to be part of that process, and I hope that 2021 is as successful, if perhaps less exciting. I look forward to continuing my work with my co-trustees on your behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Posey. It's been a pleasure working with you for the past year, and I echo the sentiments and look forward to a bigger, brighter future in 2021. I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year. Looking forward to the continued expansion of the vaccine and hope that we can get back to real in-person meetings sometime in the very near future. But I'd like to thank our staff and our community and the other trustees for working through and finding a way to continue to interact with the public via this Zoom process. And I do believe moving forward that even when we get to a time when we go back to public in-person meetings, we'll still offer this Zoom option for connectivity if possible, because it allows some folks who just don't have the ability to travel into the offices to engage in the public government process. So with that, we have no work sessions, no executive sessions. I will make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 6:29. Thank you all. Have a great evening.